Our research question is, how is single parenting affecting career development or work satisfaction for adults in developed versus developing countries?
So obviously we chose to research single parents and kind of some of the aspects of their life and how single parenting affects those aspects. And so those aspects are educational status, socioeconomic status, job availability, and work satisfaction.
So for job availability, it's more likely for working to purely be work-based, and for interactions with employees, colleagues, and supervisors to be limited. And then developed countries are more likely to use part-time or contractual work, so making their own schedules or meeting with their supervisors. While developing countries are more likely just to use shift work. And then developed countries are more likely to provide rights for their employees than developing.
In the educational effects category, in a study done in India, it showed that single mothers in India who have lower educational levels are less likely to have higher skills and then therefore less likely to have higher job availability.
In another study that I did under educational effects in Scotland, there were a lot of single parents in the study range were found to be tended to be in the lower educated category. And then also in another study that I found in a developed country, data displayed that parents who were in a low educated range tend to have more rates of unemployment or less employment continually. And then we also looked at kind of the education status of parents and effect on children as well. And it showed that if a parent had higher educational status, they were more likely to educate their children more and help them with their education than low educated parents.
I did my findings in European countries and Africa, and what I talked about was socioeconomic status, and what was found was the higher education you had, graduate school, medical school, degrees, the higher your socioeconomic status was, and you had a higher parenting style, which is authoritative, instead of being in a low socioeconomic status. You had lower education and had a permissive or disengaged parenting style. As shown in this graph right here, it states comparisons between maternal warmth and maternal control through different parenting styles.
Okay, and then in the work satisfaction category, a study done in Canada showed that single parents are usually put under more stress financially and just with parental responsibilities. So it showed that they're more likely to be depressed and have psychological distress, which would generally lead to a lower work satisfaction.
And then conflict occurs in developed countries for work satisfaction when parents and families tend to integrate their personal lives into work. And so the summary of our findings were the educational effects is if you have low education, it strongly correlates with your status and your job availability. For socioeconomic status, lower education, you're more likely to have a lower status. For work satisfaction, single parents are less likely to enjoy their job because of the stress and the moods that it brings about. And then job availability is developed countries are more likely to work with their employees than developing.
And so if you have any questions, please email us and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thanks.